zum guten Willen, Deutschland ein wie Vaterland.
The Soviet Union stations more than 500,000 soldiers in East Germany. The group of the Soviet armed forces, called GSSD, has conventional and nuclear weapons. This massive presence is not only due to East Germany's frontline position at the border to NATO.
The Soviet Union's confidence in East Germany, and in particular the NVA, was rather ambivalent. The number of Soviet troops deployed in East Germany was double the number of NVA soldiers. The NVA was always only a subordinate part by the side of their Soviet brothers.
This is reflected in the power structure at the secret construction site. Soviet officers gave orders and NVA soldiers followed them.
We didn't know the blueprints. We were only given partial mini-sections that were necessary for our jobs. So it was impossible to have any idea about the big picture of the project because of that.
The only thing Dieter Roland is able to guess is the size of the facility. On more than 150 hectares, more than 20 buildings are being built. From officers' quarters to administrative buildings. Here, in the inner circle and with access only for experts, 2 extremely hardened concrete cubes, most likely bunkers.
Every bunker was made of a single piece. Imagine making a concrete cube to sit in for safety. If the bunker were put together from several sections with seams and whatnot, in a bombing attack, those seams would be the weak spots, and the entire building would be torn apart. We were put on high alert, and so had to take our Kalashnikovs with us to the construction site. Then the order for military construction was given. Military construction meant you had 20 hours of work and 4 hours of sleep, and then this cycle was repeated.
The secret bunkers are supposed to be completed ahead of schedule. Now the NVA Corps of Engineers begin to realize what they are building here.
As the building grew, we slowly started to realize what it really was, as we saw the main hall with its 2-floor design and then the length of the building. But nuclear weapons? No one, I think, had any idea that something like that could be stored here in those quantities.
Object 73274 is designed for mass destruction. Operational 24/7, top secret, with more than 60 nuclear warheads, each at least 5 times as powerful as the Hiroshima bomb. Dieter Roland built Death a house. Can you ever be proud of something like that?
Proud? Yes. Proud, I mean, of the achievements we all made, my buddies and I. But the purpose of the building doesn't always fill me with pride.
After his military service, Dieter Roland worked as a civil engineer. The plutonium they breed in nuclear power plants, such as Chernobyl, ends up in the nuclear weapons of the Soviet Union. Hundreds of warheads that are deployed at secret locations in East Germany. One of these locations, Object 73274. Nuclear weapons require regular inspections and maintenance. Tricky manual work for specialists who are also employed at Object 73274.
I always tried not to think too much about how dangerous it was, and always told myself that I was doing my job as well as I could.
Свою работу надо делать хорошо. Меня зовут Будзихов.
My name is Viktor Budikovsky, and I'm an electrical engineer for nuclear weapons technology. My rank is lieutenant.
Звание в то время старший лейтенант.
There are 80 officers and 80 soldiers stationed at the secret nuclear weapons depot. A total of several thousand Soviet soldiers, just like Viktor, work at the nuclear sites of the Soviet army in East Germany. Altogether, there are 16 such special weapons depots. In South Brandenburg alone, 120 warheads for short-range missiles are stockpiled. It's more than 1,000 in all of East Germany.
The warheads varied in yield.
У нас была такая практика.
It was normal in the Soviet army
Даже
that even the staff working on those weapons
обслуживал эти.
had no idea about their yield.
Нам не сообщалась их настоящая действительная мощность.
The Hiroshima bomb unleashes an amount of energy that is equivalent to 12,000 tons of TNT. Nuclear weapons like the ones in the south of Brandenburg are multiple times more powerful. As so-called tactical weapons, they are supposed to destroy the enemy's airfields or any advancing troops in war.
This is the manifestation of the Soviet Union's traumatic World War II experience. You first expect the adversary's attack on your own assets. Put bluntly, on the frontline states.
The separated Germany is designated as a nuclear battlefield by both sides. Every single one of these warheads can take out an entire city in West Germany. A rigorous maintenance plan is set to keep the secret arsenal operational. Here, in the main hall of the bunker, the electronics are inspected and defective parts replaced. In case of an attack, these warheads would be hoisted to the upper level by crane and handed over to the East German missile unit.
The entire ammunition was meant for a serious attack. It was always operational and could be used at any moment.
И никаких дополнительных работ они не требовали. Смотрите.
Yes. It is true, the warheads would have been handed over to the East Germany's NVA in case of an attack.
Немецкой национальной армии.
Bewaffnung der Raketentruppenartillerie in unseren Tagen. Weiterentwickelt, den neuen Bedingungen angepasst.
The East German army doesn't have its own nuclear weapons, only the delivery systems, the principle of nuclear participation.
Nuclear participation only meant that the Allied country received delivery systems for nuclear weapons. Put bluntly, they had missiles, and on the West German side, also planes. On the East German side, only missiles. The nuclear warheads, however, were under strict control of the respective superpower. That meant neither West Germany nor East Germany had their own nuclear weapons.
The range of those delivery systems only reached the River Rhine. In case of an attack, the two German armies would have to fight each other. World War III would have started as a war between Germans.
Well, the Germans in the Cold War. This is the battlefield where the future World War III was meant to be fought. And not much of Germany would have survived.
Soviet soldiers stationed in East Germany discovered a world full of surprises. Soviet propaganda has left them completely unprepared for life here.
Нам
We were taught that the Soviet Union was the most advanced of all socialist countries and stood at the highest level of communist development.
Развитых социалистических стран, что у нас совершенствуется социализм.
And then I arrived in East Germany and realized it was all a lie.
Приезжаю в ГДР, и я вижу, что меня просто обманывали.
There were many things in East Germany which back in the USSR were reserved only for the privileged. Transfers to East Germany were considered a jackpot in the Soviet army.
At the same time, people in the Soviet Union had to wait in long lines in front of bookstores or to buy toilet paper. Hard to imagine that today.
Victor and his family left the base in 1994. He found a new job in civilian life. Secrecy was part of everyday life in the Soviet-dominated Eastern Bloc. That's especially true for the military. Estimates say that between 1948 and 1991, the Soviet army is on average 4 to 5 million troops strong. 500,000 of them are stationed in East Germany. Of particular importance, the specialists of Object 73274, guardians of nuclear weapons who live here with their families.
We never talked about my father's job at home. I just knew he didn't drive a tank. Maybe he was in the artillery, but why his base was so hidden was of no interest to me. My name is Igor Gutsevich. I spent my best years here.
The secret base south of Berlin is divided into 3 zones. The restricted zone with the nuclear warheads, a barracks area, and the civilian zone for the families. Here you can find prefab housing, a library, and a little bit of private luxury in the form of a swimming pool.
We arrived here from a base in Ukraine. There we didn't have any swimming pools and no rivers. A city without any bodies of water. That's why I only learned to swim here, and I've never forgotten how.
The armed forces stationed in East Germany belong to the elite of the Soviet army. They are relatively well provided for. There are television sets and children's bicycles. The apartment blocks are well furnished and modern. A children's room and bath in every apartment, a novelty for many of the residents. However, there are some special features.
The base commander and his family lived in one of the houses. His deputy lived in a similar apartment, but at the other end of the hall. I believe the idea was that in case of a bomb, at least one of them would survive. Makes sense somehow. Here was the entrance. A couple of steps up, to the right, apartment number 8. Along the corridor, and on the left here was my room. My own room, for the first time in my life. Yeah. It was 41 years ago. We've grown up just like the trees.
In January of 1991, the last Soviet soldiers leave Object 73274 and return home. The living situation there is a rude awakening.
We estimate that about 2,500 people used to live here, soldiers and their families. Many of them share their memories on social media. For many of them, those were the best years of their lives. So it couldn't have been so bad.
Today, Object 73274 is owned by a building materials company. Most buildings have been torn down and converted into gravel for road building.